Welcome to Allies or Enemies. Today we are talking about Endeavour Deep Sea. Our copy was provided for review, but the thoughts are all our own. Designed by Carl de Visser and Jarratt, Endeavour Deep Sea is a 1 to 4 player game all about exploring the ocean depths. It is the sequel to 2018's Endeavour Age of Sail and apparently builds on many of those systems. But we haven't played the original, so we are diving into this deep sea blindly. But before we get too deep, let's start with how it plays.
At the start of the game, you choose one of 10 mission boards and the ocean boards that go with it. You also get a player board, a team leader, and a submarine ready to start its journey. At the start of each round, you gain a new specialist, and then you get action discs and take discs off of team members. What you can buy and gain depends on the tracks, which are bumped up every time you get one of the matching icons. On your turn, you can use one of your action tokens to activate one of your specialists and take one of the 5 main actions. These include moving your submarine based on your ingenuity track, using sonar to add new boards to the ocean, diving for tokens which gains research and other bonuses, conserving by spending research, and journaling to gain cards and usually upgrade team members. Most of these actions will also help you move up those 4 tracks, as well as gaining you more actions, research, and impact tokens which you add to the mission board. When you can't or don't want to take any more actions, you pass. And after 6 rounds of growing your team and exploring the ocean, you add up points for the 3 mission-specific goals, placed impact tokens, how far you moved up those tracks, game end scoring from any level 5 specialists, points from journals, and a little bit for leftover discs and research. And then the greatest oceanographer is named.
Endeavour has an ocean of variability, which starts with the actual ocean itself. Each of the 5 depths has roughly double the boards that will be used in a game. And while the shallow ones are fairly simple, as you get deeper, the boards have more special rules and extra bonuses, making it well worth your while to explore. There are also a lot more specialists than you will use in a game, with 12 level 1 to 4s and 9 unique level 5s, of which you will only use 6 total specialists in a game, and these all have different bonuses and available actions. And then there are the 10 different missions, which have very different goals and different discovery boards, and these will massively impact your focus each game. At its heart, the system is deceptively simple, but with so many moving parts, games haven't felt too samey to us yet.
Adding to the variability, there are 2 ways to play with both a competitive and a cooperative mode. The core gameplay doesn't change drastically, but the end game scoring becomes collaborative, with players trying to complete a score goal, as well as the 3 key mission goals and 3 more variable goals that are revealed over the first 3 rounds. And then those are followed by 3 troublesome setback cards that are going to give you a bit of an extra challenge. Your score is based on how many of these goals you manage to complete. So far, we've only managed to do the lowest level of the game. This same system is also used for the solo mode, but that does give you 7 rounds. Otherwise, it plays exactly the same, and it is a real challenge.
The game plays from 1 to 4, and because it plays pretty quickly, you shouldn't have too much downtime regardless of count. At more players, there is a bit more competition, and zones will get depleted quicker. But more tiles will also get discovered at a faster rate, so things will mostly even themselves out, with perhaps a bit more of a push to move deeper quicker. At 2, you can often take a bit more time in the shallower water, but you do tend to have fewer zones to fight over, so it certainly won't feel loose. But it can feel like the game ends a turn too quickly because you don't get quite as much out. That said, because everyone has the same goals, certain zones will always be in high demand and will create competition regardless of player count. In the co-op mode, the goals all scale based on how many players are on your team, which mostly works, but does seem to be perhaps a bit easier with more players, with 2 feeling the most challenging. It is still doable, but you will need to be on your scuba fin toes.
The coolest part of the game are the ocean boards. There are a bunch of fun sea creatures, sunken ships, and cool research buildings. And at the end of the game, you've got a fun ocean tableau. The iconography is also incredibly clear. You'll have the key icons down in the first few turns. A few of the deeper tiles may take a quick peek at the provided cheat sheet, but other than that, we barely needed to go back to the rulebook. Also, the wooden tokens are all nice, especially the faction-specific icons for those action discs. I especially like the purple octopus that very much looks like a spy movie villain. And the game comes with a terrific organizing tray for all of the specialists. There aren't a lot of major downsides here, but maybe the biggest tricky will be moving things around as your ocean gets bigger and you inevitably didn't judge just how big it would get. We have not yet been able to properly judge just how much space we're going to need, and there tends to be a mid-game shuffle to find that space. Hopefully, we'll soon figure out the optimal placement.
Again, we haven't played the original, so we can't compare and say how much things have changed. But taken on its own merit, Endeavour Deep Sea blew us out of the water. The core system is tight, but also allows for players to take different routes each game. You will always need to do some amount of sonar and dive actions, but we've had games where we barely dipped our toes into journaling or conservation or the impact tracks, and other games where those are pretty much our whole focus. The missions play into that focus a lot, and the goals will massively influence what you do, but there is still quite a bit of flexibility. One possible tricky is that the game is a bit lighter than it might initially look. The 5 core actions are all fairly simple, and the system of pushing up those tracks is pretty straightforward. But the larger puzzle of trying to extend your turns and get the icons and actions you need is interesting. And to be honest, we kind of like having a simple core amidst all the other moving parts. The other slight negative for some might be that other than stealing spots, the interaction tends to be more indirect. Again, we like this, but this is more a game for marine biologists than pirates. In the end, this is one that is going to work for a lot of groups. It is easy enough to pick up for Gateway Plus players, but also has enough to it that heavier gamers could get a lot out of it. And both the competitive and the co-op games work about as well as each other, even if the challenge of the co-op might frustrate you for your early games. If you enjoy a smooth core system with a lot of bells and whistles and want to do some deep sea exploring, this one is well worth a dip.
And that is it. Have you played Endeavour Deep Sea? What did you think? Or if you have played the original, how do you think this one compares? Please let us know in the comments, and please also like and subscribe, and hopefully we'll see you all next time for another game.